If you received one of the 3 stimulus checks that were sent in 2020 and 2021, you want to pay attention to this. If you're on Social Security or disability benefit, you may be at risk of losing your benefit if you got a stimulus check, and I'm going to explain why this is happening. So let's dive right into it. So what's happening is that stimulus checks are causing people to lose their disability benefits and some Social Security benefits. Why is that? Because when the stimulus checks were sent, Congress said they were not going to impact your Social Security or disability benefit. They were not going to let you go over the income limit or the resources limit. Well, that is not what has been happening. The Social Security Administration has sent 1 million letters to people telling them that they were overpaid in benefits and wants the money back. And the biggest reason is because these people received a stimulus check. So stay tuned. I'm going to explain everything in detail about what's happening and who is affected and what you can do about it if you receive one of these letters. Now, before I get into anything, if you are new to this channel, I want to urge you to subscribe, because here at Social Security Edge, all we do is bring you the latest news and update on anything that may affect your benefits both in and out of Congress. So let's get right into it. So why are people losing Social Security benefits due to stimulus checks? Well, according to this article from CNBC, what happens is that when lawmakers passed the stimulus benefits back in 2020 and 2021, people were promised that the stimulus was not going to affect their benefit. There were no strings attached. Everybody was entitled to get the benefit, and that the extra income was not going to compromise benefits. So if you were on Social Security disability benefits and you know there's an asset limit that you cannot go over, it's $2,000 for individuals, it's $3,000 for married couples, Congress assured people on disability that getting the stimulus checks was not going to affect your benefits. Well, that is not what's happening. The Social Security Administration has mailed out 1 million letters last year and 1 million letters this year, trying to recover $21.6 billion in outstanding overpayments. Most of them were sent to disability beneficiaries. So here's what happened. If you remember back in 2020, the first stimulus check went out on March 27th. It was for $1,200 for an individual and $2,400 for a couple. Now, if the asset limit or the resources limit is $2,000, then you can see how a lot of disability beneficiaries on SSI might have gone over the resources limit. Because if you're a couple that received the stimulus check for $2,400 and the resources limit for a couple was $3,000 for SSI beneficiaries, then you're pushing very close to that limit. And then the second stimulus check was sent in December 2020 for $600 an individual and $1,200 per couple. And then the third one was sent in March 2021 for $1,400 per person and $2,800 per couple. Now remember, as I said, Congress did say that it was not going to affect people who were on Social Security or disability. Their payments were not going to be affected, because even on Social Security, when you get income, if your income is over a certain level and you get benefits before your full retirement age, then if you're getting income above a certain limit, it lowers your benefits. So what happened was that people were then surprised when they started getting letters from the Social Security Administration informing them that they have received more benefits than they were entitled to. So some beneficiaries, including retirees and disabled individuals, lost benefits. And there's been reports of benefit suspension and overpayments. And it has become so bad that 3 senators, Ron Wyden, Sherrod Brown, and Bob Casey, have expressed deep concerns and are planning to hold hearings in Congress to try to get to the bottom of why the Social Security Administration is sending these letters and trying to get this money back. Now remember, a lot of these people are vulnerable people of the society, disabled, blind, elderly individuals who have limited resources or limited income or fixed income and are receiving these overpayment letters. Some of them are being asked to pay 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There is somebody that received a letter that they owe $120,000 in overpayment letters. I mean, the real question is, who has that kind of money sitting down and laying around, especially if you're on Social Security or disability benefits and this is your only source of income, to be able to pay $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in overpayment? So what typically happens is that people don't even know that they have been receiving more money than they should have. And sometimes it goes on for months, it goes on for years, and then you get a letter from the Social Security Administration saying you went over the asset limit for $2,000 per individual or $3,000 per couple, and so the stimulus check has caused complications and caused you to go over the limit. So what happens? What's the impact? Well, people's benefits are being suspended and it's causing them a lot of financial difficulty. And to be able to get ahead of this or even get help to try to fix this, it's a nightmare. For some people, there's risk to Medicaid, because remember, Medicaid is also an income eligible benefit, and there are also resources limits. So people's Medicaid benefits are being taken away because of this issue. So the Senate is asking why. But the real problem is that, especially for SSI beneficiaries, the asset limit has been too low. So if you're on SSI benefits, you cannot have assets above $2,000. If you're a couple, it's $3,000, which means you can't have more than that amount in your bank account. Or you can't receive any if you're working, you have to report those earnings, and that's going to be reducing your benefits. So there's a lot of things you have to pay attention to if you're on disability benefits, if you're on Social Security, because especially for Social Security beneficiaries, if you are receiving benefit before your full retirement age, let's say you sign up for Social Security at 62 before your full retirement age, every income you earn has to be reported, and if it exceeds a certain level, then it begins to reduce your benefits. So advocacy groups are getting involved to help people who are finding themselves in this situation where they've received pandemic era benefits that were supposed to come with no strings attached, and now people are being asked to pay it back. So what should you do if you get a letter from the Social Security Administration that you have overpayment? Well, you have three options. Number one, you can pay it back if you have the money. Number two, you can file an appeal. Number three, you can request a waiver. So I'm going to walk through the three very quickly. If you agree with the amount and you have the money laying around and you want to pay full within the 30 days that is required, you can go to the Social Security website and make the payment. Or you can go to pay.gov and make the payment there. If you don't have the money, you have two or three options. Number one, you can file an appeal. An appeal with all the evidence you can provide to show why you don't think you deserve to pay this overpayment. And sometimes the letter that you received may not have all the details that you need to file a successful appeal. So you may have to go to the Social Security office, your local Social Security office, and get a good understanding of why you were sent this letter. Now, the letter you will receive will tell you should file an appeal within 60 days. I want to tell you to make sure you file it within 30 days. Here's why. Because if you file an appeal within 60 days, you may trigger collection after 30 days. Because the Social Security Administration is allowed to begin collection efforts after 30 days if you haven't paid the money back. What does collection means? They can take all of your benefits or a portion of your benefits every month until you have paid the overpayment in full. So, appeal is your best option. that buys you some time to figure out what exactly is going on and whether you are responsible for all of it or whether the Social Security Administration has made a mistake. Second, Congress is trying to figure something out regarding this because clearly people were misled to believing that the economic impact payments were not going to be counted as income or against SSI resource limits, and that's not what has happened. So they are holding hearings to make sure that they get to the bottom of this. But that does not mean that you are not responsible for the money that you owe. So, as I mentioned, the best thing you can do quickly is to file an appeal and provide as much evidence as you can. And if that does not help, you can also file what we call a waiver. A waiver pretty much says you want the debt forgiven because you don't have the money to pay it, and taking a portion of all of your benefits is going to cause you severe financial hardships. So, that is what is happening with overpayments. Now, as I said, Congress has stepped in, and I want to explain why and why that is significant, because there's $21.6 billion in overpayments that the Social Security Administration is trying to get back. And the senators are saying, okay, why are we in this situation in the first place? Because the Social Security Administration is sending benefits to people and trying to get it back. And most of these recipients are elderly, poor, or disabled people who have no means to repay this gigantic amount of money back. So there is efforts, a bipartisan effort in Congress to hold hearings to get to the bottom of why the Social Security Administration is doing this. And lawmakers are pushing for transparency, increased funding, and better communication within the Social Security Administration to resolve this problem. Now, there was an investigative report by the Kaiser Family Foundation Health News and the Cox Media Group about what was happening with overpayments. And this was a big deal because they came out with a comprehensive report showing who has been affected and providing specific examples of people who have received these letters and how it has impacted them. So after that, the Social Security, the acting commissioner, was brought to Congress to answer some questions. And what they found out was that many people affected by this are poor, disabled people, and it's causing them a lot of financial distress. And the SSA, the Social Security Administration, acknowledged overpayment mistakes, but they also emphasized that people really do owe this money. So the data that they provided is that in 2022, over 1 million people received overpayment notices. And in 2023, already almost 1 million people have gotten overpayment notices. So the Social Security Administration is aggressively trying to get this money back. So what does this mean? Well, there's $21 billion to be collected. And if you've received a notice, do not ignore it because the Social Security Administration is going to want to get its money back. Now, as I said, they do make mistakes. So if you appeal, make sure that you understand why you are in this situation, when they are saying you started receiving more money than you deserve, and how much you were receiving. And then you can go and do your own research and find out if this is true and put together a good appeal, which you can file online to be able to deal with this situation. Now, if you appeal and they reject your appeal and you apply for a waiver and the waiver is rejected, the final option is to ask for a hearing before a judge. And with that, you're probably going to need an experienced attorney who is well vested in these overpayment issues and can help you put up a good case before a judge. So, if you receive one of these letters, what should you do? Well, as I said, pay it within 30 days, appeal within 60 days, but as I mentioned, you should appeal within 30 days or request a waiver. So you can go online and make the payment. If you have the money and you want to pay it, go to pay.gov or call the Social Security Administration at 1-800-772-1213 and make the payment or make arrangement to make the payment. Now, as I said, a lot of people don't have this money laying around to pay it. So you can file an appeal, and that can be done online at the Social Security Administration's website. by going and to the section. Make sure that you are in the section that says non-medical appeal, and you can submit your information online there. And the third option is a waiver. A waiver is essentially saying that you are asking them to forgive the debt, that you cannot afford it, or you think it's an error, or it wasn't your fault, and you believe the overpayment is unfair for another reason, and you have to probably provide a list of your income and expenses to show how, if you're forced to make this overpayment, or even a portion of your disability benefits or social security benefits being taken and used to pay the overpayment, is going to cause you extreme financial distress and extreme financial problems and put you in financial jeopardy. So, appeal. As I mentioned, make sure you appeal within 30 days so that you can stop all collection efforts until the Social Security Administration has made a decision on your appeal. By law, they cannot do anything once they receive your appeal within 30 days, because after 30 days, they are free to collect money from you, including withholding your future benefits or withholding a portion of your future benefits. When you file your appeal, make sure you understand why the appeal, you are in this situation to begin with. Provide as much detail as possible, and make sure you're filling out the correct form, which is called the Request for Reconsideration form. And you can print that form on the Social Security Administration website and be able to submit it in time. Once you file the appeal, here's what's going to happen. You have to wait at least 4 weeks. But they are not going to initiate any collections until they've made a decision on your appeal. And there are 3 different outcomes, 3 different things that the Social Security Administration may decide regarding your appeal. Number 1, they may agree with you and say, yes, they made a mistake and you don't owe the money. Or they may request additional information, and if they do, make sure that you are responding very quickly. Do not delay in responding to the Social Security Administration when they're asking you for more information, especially when you're trying to appeal an overpayment. And then they may disagree with you and provide evidence that you still owe the money that they say you owe. In that case, your next option is to file a waiver. You may file a waiver which says that, 1, you don't think this was your fault to be put in this situation, and then show hardship, demonstrate hardship, show that repaying this debt will cause you financial hardship. And as I mentioned before, you have to prove how this is going to cause you financial hardship. And the best way to do that is provide a list of your income, especially if you're on fixed income. If this is your only source of income, your Social Security benefit is your only source of income, provide them an income and expense sheet for the month. Show them how taking even 10% of your income, your Social Security benefits, to pay overpayment is going to cause you extreme financial stress. And that can only be done if you provide them the evidence. And if all else fails, if they decline your appeal, if your waiver has been rejected, well, then there's one more option available to you, which is requesting a hearing before a Social Security judge. But before you do this, it's advisable to hire an attorney, because meeting in front of a judge, you have to have everything in order. And you want to find a Social Security attorney that understands what it means to have an overpayment issue like this, understands the intricacies of Social Security policy, and looks at your case and thinks you have a fair shot at winning it. And also make sure that the person actually has experience dealing with overpayments issues before a judge. And then that would increase your odds of putting together a good case before you go before the judge. So those are the options you have to deal with Social Security overpayments. And the Social Security Administration, because of all the pressure they've been getting from Congress, released a statement saying that they are being very cooperative and being very flexible in dealing with people who are in this situation. and that some of the repayment options they have, if they cannot waive the debt, they have flexible repayment options, including repayment amounts as low as $10 a month. Now, we don't have evidence of that, but that's what they're saying. So make sure that if you have to get on a payment plan, you can request something as low as $10, because that's what the Social Security Administration is saying, that they have flexible repayment plan, some as low as $10 a month. So that is essentially what is happening with this overpayment issue. The Social Security Administration said they are looking into it and reviewing their own policies regarding overpayment. So if you have any questions about this at all, ask us in the comment section below. If you are new to this channel, I want to urge you to hit the subscribe button right now, because as you can see, all we do is bring you the latest news and updates about Social Security and disability. Anything that may affect your benefits at all, negatively or positively, we're going to bring it to you, and we want you to be the first to know. So until we see you in our next video, thank you for watching.